And then I realized in May some things had changed, but I really started to look at the world that we were dealt in the beginning of the Obama administration. And I realized that maybe I was wrong when I always thought that the matrix of real important activity in New York City is always going to be at City Hall. If you care about the fact that nearly 500,000 children walked into soup kitchens in the last year in our city, if you care about that, the way you do that is you want to become mayor, you want to figure out a way to feed them in their preschools, feed them at school, make sure that they're getting food stamps. If you care about the idea that we had an attack on our city 8 years ago, and still there is barely a frame of a building, Lower Manhattan, when the mayor was sworn in, said in his speech that day that we are going to rebuild this city, and it still hasn't happened. The way you fix that is you become mayor. If you're concerned about the quality of the schools and you want to make sure that the same gateway to the middle class that I had when I went to public schools are still there in the generations to come, the mayor's the place to do it. But I also realized that this year, with healthcare being on the horizon, with a near global economic crisis, with an opportunity to work in the shadow of a truly inspirational and transitional presidency in a Democratic House and Senate, I made the decision, and it was a tough one, that if I was going to do one, maybe this was the year I stayed in Washington. And I think you'll admit that I didn't just sit passively back and like watch the year come. I really got into it. And now the election's come and gone, and people are fond of saying, well, maybe you would have won, but I know that I could not have done both. I could not have been working on that healthcare fight and been running for mayor. And I thought that Bill Thompson was a good guy, and I wanted to make sure that he was a success. But I won't lie to you, it's the only other job I want in politics, or I would like in politics, is to be mayor. That doesn't mean I'm getting up every single day and kind of plotting and scheming how the district leader in Southeast Queens and how I make sure that his coffee has enough cream in it or anything like that. It's like, but I do think that it's the only. I mean, I wouldn't want to be I shouldn't say I don't want to deride any other offices. I'm just saying that this is the. But I have to tell you that that's a while from now. And I've never been more energized about the work I'm doing. I've never felt more nourished by it. I've never felt luckier to have a job that is mentioned in the United States Constitution. I've never been more proud of the people like those in this room for how not only did we win an election in 2008, but we didn't stop, we didn't take our foot off the gas, and we've gotten so much done already. I've never had the sense of indebtedness as much as I have today to the 160,000 American men and women who are today fighting with the flag of our country on their shoulders. I feel that we're being patriots. And that makes me proud, that makes me happy. And it also is great, as I stand here today, the Mets are undefeated. So, I can't think of anything wrong in the world right now. Even though I can't see the score, if someone can yell it out. That All right, John May. There you go. The reason it got incorporated, first of all, it's a little bit complicated, but the reconciliation process, the question is, the student loan reform, which was overdue, and I'll explain in a minute why. Why was it included in this bill? It was one of the various bills that come through Congress that need to be reconciled with the budget as well. Anything that has a budget implication that changes the original budget, as you probably know from following the healthcare debate, has to go through a reconciliation process. It's not uncommon to have 3 or 4 bills. This time we had 2, healthcare and this one. Here's why this is a good one. The way we do student loans, I probably don't have to tell this room, the way we do student loans makes no sense. We give money to banks and to middlemen, and we say lend the money, and then we give them a big fee and we don't give you any of the fee. We guarantee the loans. It's not like there's any risk for the bank at all to do it. What we're giving them the fee to do is an enduring mystery to many of us in Washington, because it's just like, we give them money and then we guarantee it and give them a fee. Now, if we gave them the fee but didn't guarantee it, that would make some sense. They're taking a risk, you're going to give them a fee to take that risk. If we guarantee it, there should be no fee. So basically what we said is we're going to get out of this dopey business. We're going to start going into the business of directly giving to student loans directly. If it's going to be money we're going to guarantee, we might as well give it a guarantee directly. And we're going to start cutting out these middlemen and these brokers and these banks who make a pretty penny off of this. It is consistent with the healthcare in one important way. It's another way we're trying to help the middle class and those struggling to make it with some of these tough, essential things to make our economy go. You really can't be a functioning family and get ahead in this country if you don't have healthcare to take care of your kids. You really now increasingly have to have a college education if you want to be competitive. And so those two things go together perfectly. They both save us money, and they both, I think, are going to wind up being enduring legacies of this Congress that we should be very proud of and we should run up. Now, someone was yelling out, and then we'll get to go ahead, fire with it.
Hey, first off, thank you. All your hard work, we really appreciate it.
Nice
Also,
to say
thanks. There are a lot of leaders from a lot of grassroots organizations here. I mean, I'm from Move On, but obviously the Democrats, HCAN. I mean, people from the Change.
Let me read you some of them. Manhattan Young Democrats are here. The Healthcare Committee Chair already spoke. Brooklyn Young Democrats are here. Greater NYC for Change. NYU College Democrats are represented here. Go Scarlet. Something? Scarlet? Violet. Here's what I do. I follow Twitter for the tea parties and just show up to fuck with them. That's one of the things. I just... No, I'm just kidding. I don't actually do that. I just sit at my desk and they send me talcum powder every couple of weeks. Look, I'll leave it to someone smarter than I on how to organize and how to keep the energy going. But I think that one of the things that we should realize now is that we had to do a transition starting at the beginning of 2009 from being largely a force trying to stop bad things from happening to transitioning to the idea that now we can get up in the morning, think about things we want to have happen and animate around them. Yes. It's a different skill set, and it's a different way that the synapses in our heads are firing, and it took us a little while to get our sea legs, but we're doing it now. I think that this means that we no longer have to sit back and wait for someone to do something to say, let's try to move this to the top of the agenda. There's no reason, we don't have to sit and wait to see what kind of troublesome things come over the transom to organize around how we're going to stop it. Now we can really get up in the morning and say, you know what, the student loan piece was very nice, but here's 3 other affordability things that I think that we should try to do. And we're going to have 3 of our members of Congress from New York come down and brainstorm about how we maybe try to get that included in the next omnibus appropriation bill or something. I think that there are as many organizing opportunities as there are ideas under the sun right now, and we really should feel this sense of potentiality. And it really is this moment now that a lot of the best ideas and energy that are coming and getting into the firmament in Washington are being generated from the grassroots. Some of them not so great, but some of them very good. I can tell you this, because I was involved in this intimately for the last 13, 14 months. I felt like I was pregnant with a bill for the last 13 months. I can tell you that the public option was dead every single time the insiders in Washington talked about it. And it came back to life every single time the public started talking about it. It was now, we didn't win that fight. But the point is, the public option debate was entirely one that the Beltway folks and didn't want to talk about. And it happened because enough people, if you go to Facebook and put in public option, there's like 75 groups of people organizing all around the country trying to make it a reality. And I think that we have to keep, and don't just wait. Just because you see the president talk about immigration doesn't mean that you can't talk about, about other issues. Just because the president says he's going to wait for 6 months to get a review from his services on Don't Ask, Don't Tell doesn't mean we can't start pushing it today. Just because, just because we've done this thing on student loans doesn't mean that we can't start asking questions about elementary and secondary education reform. Just because the federal district court struck down net neutrality yesterday doesn't mean that we have to sit back and wait and say, let's hope Comcast and Time Warner does the right thing. We should be out there every day animating around this. Thank you all very much.